I want to, this is a very interesting conversation, but I also want to give the floor a couple of minutes to Emmy, who is a new member of the SDGs working group. And she is presenting a little bit, a couple of minutes to introduce herself and to every one of us. Emmy, you have the floor.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Gabe. Thank you very much, everyone, for having me here. What an interesting discussion. I'm very excited to be a part of this group. I'm going to share my screen. I have a short presentation just about my own background, as well as presenting a few case studies. So let us get right into it. So hi, my name is Emmy Tither. I'm British Peruvian American, and I currently live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where it is 6:30 in the morning. So please bear with me if my brain is not as switched on as it usually is. I'm a member of the U.S. National Committee, and I'm a new member of Task Team 8, which is Heritage and Gender Equality. And broadly, I find social cultural systems and all their complexity fascinating, which is why I'm here. Very quickly, I have a Master of Arts in Documentary Arts from the University of Cape Town. My thesis was around psychogeography and sound and media studies. I also have a Bachelor of Science in Social Sciences from Birkbeck, the University of London. I'm also a certified teacher. Selected professional work experience. I worked in the classroom for a few years in the US. Before that, I worked in libraries and archives in the UK. And I got started in education as a cycling instructor in the UK, in London. Currently, I work for the Latin American and Iberian Institute at the University of New Mexico. I'm a program specialist. Essentially what that means is I help run a lot of their K-12 outreach programs, as well as do some program evaluation stuff. And I also do freelance work. One of my main clients is a project called Justice Special, which is an informational database for the foster care community in Colorado, in the UK. I will be starting a PhD in the fall in information science and/or informatics. I'm still deciding which program I will be heading to. And my research interests are really at the intersection of music information retrieval and musicology, with natural language processing and geospatial studies. So essentially, what does that mean? My working research question for my doctoral studies is to what extent the audio and lyrical patterns on a country's radio stations correlate with patterns in that country's civil climate, particularly in terms of Latin America. That was a very, very quick rapid fire introduction to several years of my life. Moving forward, I'm going to be presenting very briefly on what is the link between music and the SDGs. As you can probably tell, I have quite a big interest in music and sound generally, and so I'll be talking a little bit about that. As a kind of guiding statement, the multimodal complexity of music, including its lyrical and compositional structures, makes it an excellent candidate for interdisciplinary analysis. This is one of the guiding statements for my potential doctoral research, and perhaps as well a guiding statement for us today. I'm really interested in how music can be integrated and be a part of how we look at and how we research and engage with the SDGs. I found this in the kind of process of putting together this presentation. The Center for Music Ecosystems has a very fascinating guide on music and the SDGs. A lot of what I will be talking about today is kind of drawn from that. So I've included the link in my presentation, which I'm sure Gabe will be able to pass along to all of you. And I really recommend having a look at it. It's fascinating and a really kind of in-depth look at how music and the SDGs can be integrated. SDG 4, music and quality education. I'm starting with this one because my background is partly in K-12 education. There's quite a bit of research that suggests that music helps teach empathy, and there's also an importance in teaching what people listen to. What we mean by that is essentially kind of, both popular music as well as music that is relevant to the cultural context in which we are looking and discussing education. There is a case study in in this kind of white paper that looks at Save the Music Foundation and its impact integrating quality education and music. I'm trying to be a bit efficient with my time. So we're gonna move quickly along. Music and gender equality, SDG 5. So as it says here, music as a unifying art form has immense power. It codifies and normalizes how it should be rather than how it is. I've included here an interesting case study tackling gender inequalities in music through policy responses in the UK and Sweden, as well as an infographic from an organization called Key Change, which looks at gender equality in the music industry. Music and peace, justice, and strong institutions, SDG 16. Music is a tool, and a tool I find very fascinating personally, to kind of build a stronger and more just world. There's various organizations out there who use music, as a tool to increase peace and justice and build stronger institutions. One of the ones listed here is In Place of War, which uses music as a peace building tool. And I do apologize. I see there's stuff happening in the chat. If there are questions for me, I'm happy to answer them afterwards. But unfortunately, I can't read the chat and present at the same time. But thank you very much for writing in the chat. Now, briefly, I want to put this here to kind of expand our lens beyond, say, just music and more inclusive to kind of look at all sound. So how can we look beyond music to connect all sound in the SDGs? I had a couple links here. There's a very fascinating project out of the UK called Cities in Memory, which is a field recording project, a global field recording project, which is the image there to the right. And sound, of course, can be a tool of measuring and understanding environmental change, particularly in terms of sound ecology, music ecology. And I also wanted to kind of invite us all to perhaps start thinking about what is the connection between sound and gender equity. A very kind of fascinating case study linked there. Around kind of the power inherent to sound, and particularly inherent to voice. So I invite you to have a kind of read of that as well, if you would like. So in summary, again, a very kind of rapid fire introduction to both my background and my research interests. But I put this here because everything for me is intertwined in the same way that I see music and sound more broadly pertaining to all the SDGs. I invite us to kind of think of, as we have been, the kind of interconnecting complexity of the various systems we're all a part of. References, in case you would like to know more, as well as my email. I would love to get to know you all a bit better. And again, thank you very much for having me. It's been wonderful to be here today. And thank you very much for staying on and watching my presentation.
Thanks, Emmy. So I want to ask you that question as well. So for you, that you're looking at music and sustainable development, do you think that culture should be a goal, or what is your thought on that?
That's a very good question. I think yes, but I say that knowing that I still have a lot to learn. But I say I'm kind of on the side of yes, because having it as a goal enshrines it in kind of shall we say the bureaucratic system and makes it more visible. I think I very much agree that there is an importance, and it's crucial that culture be kind of part of all the SDGs, but having it as its own goal itself makes it more visible and perhaps more easily translatable to those who are not a part of and who do not work in culture.
Well said. So more votes for culture as a goal. I think Ege, one of the things that was highlighted, we have in the campaign, the Culture 2030 Goal campaign, we have also another organization there, the International Music Council, that is looking at music as a whole organization, and it will be great to, I can link you up if you want to. And of course, digital heritage is another aspect. Archives are, and Stephen, archives are part of heritage on the digital front. So we should also consider that as one of the things that we in ICOMOS have to think about beyond the tangible more of the digital. How do we put that together? And that goes to the realms of Stephen and his work, and his colleagues. Right? Any other thoughts for Emmy, or any questions? Do let us know. Okay, so thank you very much, Emmy. That was good, and you will meet other people more as things go continue. And she is part of our heritage and gender team, and Emmy is part of a team that will be building a workshop for GA 2023 in Sydney.